Hi, Sunny here. Per request by Recovery, I'm going to talk about modulation. Modulation is basically just a big word meaning shifting or changing from one key to another within the same song. So we modulate from one key to another. So that's basically what it is. It's just changing the key. So you may be playing in key of C major, and you may change it to key of G major, or you may change it to key of F major, and so forth and so forth. So that's basically what it is, to modulate. Since we had previous lesson talked about perfect fourth and perfect fifth, and actually it's kind of good to deviate a little bit and talk about modulation, because perfect fourth, you can look at it another way, is a circle of fourth. Perfect fifth, you can look at it another way, is circle of fifth. What I mean by that is that here's what happens in the circle of fifth. You start from the C note, or C power chord, at the 3rd fret of your A. Alright, so the perfect fifth of that, which is down 1 fret and then over 2 fret, would be this note, would be 5th fret of your D. Now that's basically a G, because if you take that an octave back down, the 3rd fret of your E string is the same as the 5th fret of your D string, because it's an octave. So while the 5th fret of your D is a perfect fifth of your C, it is also you can go down octave lower and get this same note as G. All right. So basically, we talked about that C is the natural of all scale. There are no sharps and no flats. C is all natural. C, D, E, F, G, and back to C. Move my camera a little bit so you can see better. Excuse me here. Let's see this hand better. All right. So okay. All right. So again, C is just natural. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. All right. There's no sharps and no flats. Now, what circle of fifth tells us that's the next. Every time you go up fifth, you add a sharp to it. So visualize the fingerboard. So you start from the 3rd fret is C. If you go perfect fifth up, which is a G, I would just kind of go down like that. So this is also a G, right? So G is the circle of fifth up from C. When we do that, every time you go up a fifth, you add a sharp. So C has no sharp, C major has no sharp. If you go to G, perfect fifth, you add a sharp. And the sharp is always the note behind the chord you just played, the new chord. So for the G, the note behind that, the 2nd fret right here, is an F sharp. So that's the sharp you're adding. So C has no sharp, and G has 1 sharp, it's F sharp. Okay? Now, the next one again, it will be G, and the perfect fifth of that, it would be D. So if you play the D chord, D now has 2 sharps because it's a perfect fifth up from G, and G major scale has 1 sharp, so D scale now has 2 sharps. So what do we do is we already have the F sharp behind the G. So D right here, we'll add another sharp, which is the note right behind the new chord. So the note behind the D is a C sharp. All right. So basically, what we know right away is that if you D major chord or D major scale has F sharp and C sharp. Okay. So what's the perfect fifth up from D? It's A. This is the 7th fret of your D is A. But basically, you think about the A is up here, an octave down. It's the 5th fret of your low E string. So A. Now A major is in the perfect fifth from D. So now we add another sharp to it. So A major scale has 3 sharps. So we already had the F sharp. We already had the C sharp. Now we're going to add the note right behind the A note, which is a G sharp. So A major scale has F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. Has 3 sharps. Okay, and the same thing. Next one is E major. Same, the same formula. Now we have 4 sharps, right? So what's the next sharp? It will be the note behind E, which is a D sharp. So E major scale has 4 sharps. We have F sharp, we have the C sharp, G sharp, and now we add the D sharp to it. So what's next? Same thing. You kind of move up here to B major scale, B chord. So it's always, if you look at the pattern, it's always like C, D, D. I'm sorry, C, G, add 1 sharp, F sharp, D, add another sharp, A, 3 sharps, E, 4 sharps, and next one is B. Obviously, there's 5 sharps. That would be the note behind the B note, which is the A sharp. All right. That's pretty much all you're gonna use in rock. In rock, I mean, you're not gonna go more than that. So that's a circle of fifth. That's how you know. So if someone asks you, well, how many? Let's play the A major scale. How many sharps are there? Well, you think is C, no sharp, G, 1 sharp, D, 2 sharp, and A, 3 sharp. And you know, you can tell them right away. It's F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. All right. So that's circle of fifth. That's why the relationship between the first root note and the fourth and the fifth are very tight and very relational. So that's circle of fifth. Circle of fourth is the other way. Is the other way around. You're adding flats to it. Okay. So, so just like we talk about circle of fifth, you go up the fifth note. Circle of fourth, obviously, you're going up to fourth note. So again, we start from C, which is a major. No sharps, no flats. Circle of fourth would be the note right below the C note, which is F note. If you think about it, F on the 3rd fret of your D, octave down will be the 1st fret of your E. So F would be the next circle of fourth from C. And what we do is we add 1 flat note. And the flat note is always the perfect fourth or the 4th note of F. It's always the note below it. So C has no flats. There's no sharps either. Circle of fourth up F has a B flat because the note below F is a B flat. It's the 1st fret of your A string. That's a B flat. So F only has 1 flat. So 1 F G A B flat C D E. Back to F. So F always have 1 F major scale has 1 flat, and that's B flat. Alright, so now we're going out of fourth up. The fourth up from F is what? B flat. So basically, it goes now. This time we're going down, horizontal. No, I'm sorry, vertical. You go down. So F flat major scale, which is the next fourth up from F, we'll add another flat to it. So F major scale has 1 flat is B flat. Now the circle fourth up, a B flat major scale, we have the B flat, obviously that's a root note, plus what? The note below, the 4th note of the B flat major scale, which is the E flat, 1st fret of your D string. So we know that B flat has B flat major scale has 2 flat, B flat and E flat. So what do we do next? Same, you go down again. Next, the 4th up from B flat is E flat. So what do we have now? We already have, so basically E flat already has the B flat and E flat. We're going to add another flat to it. And another flat would be the note right below the E flat note. This time would be that would be an A flat. Okay, so E flat major scale has a B flat, A flat, I'm sorry, B flat, E flat, and A flat. So this is all just go straight down. All right. So next up, what do we have here? It's A flat, right? That would be the next perfect circle of fourth. So what do? Again, yes, we add another note, another flat to it. But again, remember, because we have to think about the B and high E string is shift one fret over to your right. So the fourth of the A flat will be the second fret of your B string, which is a D flat. Because first fret is C, third fret of your D. So this is the second fret of your B string is a D flat. So basically, if you play the A flat major scale, you'll have the B flat, E flat, A flat, and D flat. So that's already 4 flats. So that's pretty much all you will use. You usually don't use more than for rock anyway. You're not going to see more than 2 or 3 flats or 2 or 3 sharps. You get into a lot of jazz, we start using a lot of flat scales, or high major scale with a lot of sharps in it. So that's how we look at it. If you memorize the pattern, circle for fifth, 1, C, G, D, A, E, B. Every time you do that, you add a sharp. Circle fourth, C, F, add a B, add a flat, E, what's this note here? Oh, B flat, add a flat, and so forth and so forth. E flat, A flat. Okay, you just kind of memorize it. Just go down. Circle fourth, you go down, straight down, and you just add a flat to it every time you do that. So now we talk about circle fourth and circle fifth. How modulation's a lot easier. If you modulate from one key to the next, if it's only one sharp or one flat difference, it's easy. You just play. So for example, if you go C major, key of C, if you want to modulate to the key of G, there's only one difference in note, which is the F sharp and F, because C has an F note and G has F sharp instead of F. So you can just go from C to G right away without thinking much about it, and you can just start playing G scale or G chord progression. You can do G chord progression would be 1, 4, 5, would be G, C, and D. So you go from you play that C key of C chord progression, like C, F, G, and then you change key to G, it'll be G, C, D, and then you have a key change right there, right away. Same thing. You can always go from C. You can play the fifth of the G, which is a D, and modulate this G. Now from G, if you want to modulate to the perfect fifth up, which is a D, pretty easy. You just go from G all the way to D, and you start playing the D progression. D 1, 4, 5. D would be D, and the perfect fourth of D would be G, and perfect fifth would be A. So you can go from key of G to key of D, and you would play in the D chord progression. D, G, A. Oh, I'm sorry. What am I? Oh yeah, that's right. A. So that's pretty easy. You go from one, if you go from C to his neighbor, and you can go from C to F, because C to F, F is only has one B flat, so you can go directly from key of C to F with no problem. You can play any common chord between those two scales and then modulate quickly. Alright, so here's some shortcuts to modulate. That's so much to learn about modulations. I just want to cover the basic because I can go for, you know, hours and hours. But the most important thing is that listen it with your ear. If it sounds good to your ear, then it's right. There's really no right way. If it sounds good to you, modulate however you want. But with that being said, that's some shortcut. So we talked about some C. You can go direct to the G, key of G. And how you can do it, you can go from C. I'll do bar chord because you can. I'll do bar chord from here on out, so you can see the pattern. So one way to do it, we can go from C to the key of G. We can go from C to the second chord of C, which is D minor, and then we change from D minor to a D dominant seventh, and then we can play the G. That's one shortcut. Another shortcut from C to G is we can go from C. We play the third chord of C, which is the E minor, and then we go to D dominant 7. D dominant 7 will resolve back to G, and we can start playing the G, key of G right there. So C, E minor, D7, G. We're in the key of G now. All right. Now, if you want to go from key of C to key of D, how do we do that? Well, you can actually go suddenly go up to D. So you end a song on the C, and then you sometimes you can hear a lot of songs just if you go ends on a one key and it goes up higher. A lot of hymns do that in worship music. You just go suddenly up, but in other ways you can naturally resolve from one key to another. So if you want to go from C to the whole step up to the key of D, from key of C to key of D, it's a little further away from G because D has two sharps. One way to do it, you can do this. You can go from C, play the third chord of C, which is the E minor, and play the A dominant 7. A dominant 7 basically is the fifth chord of key of D. So that resolved back to D. So that's one way to do it. Another way you can do it, you can start from C, go to G, which is the fifth chord of C, right? And then you can go to A, which is the fifth chord of D. You can play A dominant 7, and then switch to key of D. You won't even notice it because it's so naturally resolved. Those chords kind of go from one chord to another chord with very not a whole lot of change in notes, maybe one or two notes, and it'll get you to the new key. Another way to do it, from C to D, is C to the fifth chord of C, which is G. Now from that on, what we do, we can make it interesting, go from G major and change to G minor. G minor, it basically is the we go from G minor to D. That will work too. You can go from C to the natural to relative minor, which is A minor, and you can do the A7 from A minor to A7th, or A7 open chord, and to D. So what you do is you try to find a common chord between two scales. You might want to write it out. Key of C is which notes? You know, C, C, D, E, F, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. All right. And what's D? So you gotta write down the D scale: D, E, F sharp, G. What else we have? A, B, F sharp, and then D. Right? So you write down the scale, you see which notes are common with each other, and then you use that to modulate. The common chords would be your modulation. So with the C chord, they both share the G note, right? Yeah, they both share G and A. You just modulate up to D. So again, just look at the scale, see which chords are in the same scales, and you just use those to modulate. So that's basic principle of modulation. You can also use secondary chords, but we're not going to get into that. One thing you can use diminished chord, any diminished chord. So let's say if I want to play F sharp diminished chord. When you play a diminished chord, you can go to any of those notes. You can change key using those notes. So I can go from F sharp. I go to C because the second note of the F sharp diminished is a C note. So I can change from the F sharp major to C major. I can go from F sharp major to D sharp major because the 4th fret of your B string is a D sharp, so you can go there. So diminished chord is very useful in modulation as well. So hopefully this helps. Thanks for watching.